basically I will revert to a definition from the MDR, and notified body is defined as a conformity assessment body designated in accordance with this regulation. A very dry definition. In fact, it is a certification body that has a special notification from the European Commission to perform certain kinds of conformity assessment for the MDR. So this is the what we are doing, and I'm part of the notified body SGS FIMCO. Still, I work for SGS Germany. It's a German part of SGS, where I work in the team for the medical product certification. And today we are going to talk about the steps to CE mark. 10 steps to CE mark basically is seen as a roadmap for the medical device manufacturers who would like to place their product on the market in Europe. And we will touch it from the point of view of the notified body. So the certification process from the point of view of MDR notified body. So that's the main topic today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
I will share now. Yeah, I will share now the. So I think that now you can.
That's perfect.
See the first slide, right?
Vasily, please go ahead. That's perfect.
Thank you, Jean-Philippe. Okay. So what is in agenda for today? So let me see if everything works. Yeah. So we will review the 10 steps to CE mark is a general roadmap for all medical device manufacturers. We will focus on the requirements for certification as seen by SGS FIMCO. We will see what it takes for the manufacturer from the first inquiry to the beginning of the audit. So basically the preparatory stage. We will zoom in and out to understand the certification process elements. So just trying to squeeze all these topics in 25 minutes could be difficult, but I try to emphasize the most important points. So I will share with you some links that you can use after this presentation to get back to us, to get back to the documents that I mentioned. And then we will have a Q&A session, which is actually the main focus of this webinar. So let's go to the 10 steps. So the first step that everyone who would like to place a medical product on the European market must do is to answer the question, is my device a medical device? And this is basically where already many companies have problems because they refer to some colloquial understanding of this term, but I really think that it's necessary to address it in the MDR and to I check the Article 2 that defines in details what a medical device actually is. After you make sure that it is a medical device, then we go to the next step. We classify it. Yeah. After the medical device manufacturer does the classification, which is according to the Annex 8. So the entity that is going to manufacture this device has to obtain the single registration number. This number is assigned by competent authority of the country where the company has its main office, its representation. So the details about SRN you can check in the certain article of MDR and in the Annex 6 of the medical device regulation. And already from this moment, so when the manufacturer understood, yes, my product is a medical device, I classified it, and I got through the unnecessary formalities, you can start implementing a quality management system, which is extremely important and is described in Article 10, what exactly has to be implemented by the manufacturer. So we all know that ISO 13485 standard is a harmonized standard that presumes the conformity with the requirements of the MDR. So when the manufacturer thinks about the idea what my QMS should look like, ISO 13485 is a very good guess. Again, the use of harmonized standards is not mandatory. It gives certain presumption of conformity, but in every case, the manufacturer should decide by itself. So the step number 4, preparation of technical documentation. It's everything that is about the product, a technical information, a clinical efficiency proof, preclinical tests, everything that is concerning the product has to be put into the technical documentation. Previously, we called it technical file. Nowadays, it is called technical documentation in terms of MDR. A technical documentation confirms the conformity of the product with the Annex 1 of MDR. And what exactly has to be in this technical documentation is described in Annex 2 of MDR. So basically, we as auditors and assessors, we used to consult with Annex 2. When we get the package from the customer, we check it for the completeness, and Annex 2 is the part of MDR that we use to make sure that all documents are here. Same you can also do. Next step is appointing the representative in European Union. I think this part is mostly for the customers, for the manufacturers that are located outside of European Union. So for those who are in EU, you are lucky not to have this step. So the written agreement is required, and details are laid out in Article 11. So then the step number 6, after you walked actually halfway, you have to do the second halfway. And the step number 6 is finding and appointing a notified body. A notified body is important and mandatory for the manufacturers who would like to put the products of higher classes, so to speak, from class 1S, M and R and higher to A, to B, and class 3. For these products, the involvement of the notified body is mandatory. Not all notified bodies are same. So when you look in the NANDO database, it's the European database that contains the list of all notified bodies for all directives that exist in EU. And there you can filter by MDR and see who is offering the service. You may check the scopes of the notified bodies and see that some notified bodies, they don't have full scope, and this is quite normal. So SGS FIMCO does not have full scope, for example, because for each code, for each MDR code, there must be clinical experts in the notified body and technical experts. So the broad expertise does exist, of course, but you have to double check to see that your product fits the notified body you are going to appoint for your product. Step number 7, getting the certificate. This step is achieved after the notified body performs the audit of your company and does the assessment of technical documentation. And it is not the end. So step 8 is registration in EUDAMED. It's the data bank that contains all the information, the big book of everything that is that still has to be ramped up and made working properly. And there you register the UDI, the a device identification number, and that's where the post-market surveillance information has to flow in, etc. Step number 9, you finalize your declaration of conformity that was already audited, but you issue it from the moment you have the certificate attached to your product package. And step number 10 is basically affixing the CE mark and starting to place the product on the market. So it's a long way. It's all these steps, they are not easy. So in our talk today, I would like to focus only on 2 single steps. It's step number 6 and step number 7, how to appoint the notified body and what the certification process according to MDR looks like. We take it from the perspective of SGS FIMCO, a notified body with the a number 0598. So SGS FIMCO is part of SGS Group, is located in Finland, in Helsinki, and it works under the notification of Competent Authority of Finland. Fimea is the name of this competent authority. So the local service provider for the certification services on behalf of SGS FIMCO is SGS Germany. We have just expanded our team of auditors and assessors, and we offer these services on behalf of SGS FIMCO and together with them. So basically all auditors that are on the way to the customers, they all are employed by SGS FIMCO and by SGS Germany as their a main working contract is also there. So the certificates that SGS FIMCO is able to issue are the ISO 13485 certificate with the validity of 3 years. ISO 13485 is, as you know, about the quality management system. It certifies that the quality management system that is implemented in your company conforms to the requirements of the standard. And EU certificate according to MDR for the maximum validity of 5 years. Why I say maximum validity? It's because depending upon the certification decision, this validity may be limited, for example, 3 years or even less. For this, there are certain circumstances to happen, but I mean, the maximum is 5 years. So as you can already notice, probably, I avoid the colloquial saying MDR certification, CE certification, because it's not correct. Yeah, the certification is performed according to MDR requirements. Yeah, so the MDR certificate is also very much common name. The one that is printed on the certificate is EU Quality Management System, a certificate according to MDR. But colloquially, you can also say the MDR certification, and everyone does. However, many customers come to us say MDR certification doesn't exist. So that's why, for the sake of correctness, we use the long names for this. Yeah? So each certificate is valid, taking into account the fact that the surveillance is performed every 12 months. Yeah? So it's not just one-time event. So the auditors will visit your company every 12 months, and this is regulated by MDR. On top of that, a medical device manufacturers will get an unannounced audit once during the certification cycle. So the 5 years is the certification cycle. So during this 5 years, auditors from the notified body will knock at your door and would like to perform the unannounced audit, which is mostly oriented on the product, that your technical documentation really fits what you manufacture and what you ship. So this measure is also the requirement of MDR. Is not a really, so to say, nice activity to surprise people once early in the morning, but that's the requirement that EU wants to see implemented. Our audits can be carried out in English and German, which is the most of languages that we offer in the area, but it could also be Spanish, Finnish, and Swedish. Technical documentation is welcome to be provided in English, Finnish, or Swedish languages. Our notified body is registered in Finland, and Finland has two official languages. It's Finnish and Swedish. So English is also allowed for the MDR documents. However, very often the customers ask whether they can still keep certain level of documents in the national language, in the local language. For example, for the manufacturing instructions, for certain drawings, if whether everything has to be translated or not. So the answer is, of course, we need to be able to assess everything. But in case we talk about the instructions for the employees in an international language, it's not necessary to translate, but during the assessment, probably you will need to give us some comments in the language that we can both understand. Going further, what is necessary to apply for the notified body services of SGS FIMCO? The manufacturer must have experience with QMS according to 13485 standard. So we know that not all notified bodies require that clearly. In our case, we have certain statistics that if the company has no experience for the ISO 13485 and they immediately apply for both, for ISO and for MDR, they may get lost easily. So to make sure that the customers that proceed with MDR conformity assessment procedures are mature enough, we have this requirement. So the company must hold the ISO 13485 or apply for this to SGS FIMCO before going for MDR services. So for the startups, we usually recommend it like this. So if you have nothing so far, you first attain ISO 13485, and once you get certified, you apply to MDR. And during this time, while the startup team prepares for ISO 13485, goes through the auditing rounds, they already become more mature, and the MDR requirements seem not so difficult for them afterwards. So it's also a good educational measure. So that was about the requirement to have a certified management system. Okay, so from the first inquiry to project opening, I get you an overview of the timeline and of the steps. The first inquiry is by email or by phone, when we just say hello to each other, and then you can get from us the two questionnaires. One is for the general information about the company, your structure, what you are going to manufacture, etc. And also the technical file metrics, so where you list up the products that you would like to certify with us. Yeah? Based on the data from these questionnaires, we check if your product is in our scope, because, for example, we cannot do class 3 devices. We are not notified for them. And then we prepare the non-binding offer. Non-binding offer means it's not binding for the certification body, actually. Yeah? So it's just a cost estimation and a rough idea of how it is going to happen and how much it costs. Yeah. So the customer reviews this non-binding offer, and if everything seems okay, then you are invited to fill out the MDR agreement together with 6 attachments. You submit this information together with your QMS documentation and draft of technical documentation to us for the review. Yeah, and if the first stage, the customer inquiry, probably takes like 1-2 weeks, the second step, when you have to fill out the MDR agreement with attachments, it can take some time. So I cannot say how long it takes, but some customers do it like 1 week, and for some it takes 3 months, depending upon the readiness. Yeah, because the application procedure is already self-filtering. Yeah, so when the customer is filling out these attachments, they can already see, okay, probably we have to do some more rounds internally, and the application process is not limited unless the MDR agreement is signed. Yeah. So then the binding offer is issued based on the application that you filled out and the documents you sent to us for review, and then we pre-book the resources and the notified body signs the agreement. MDR agreement means that a notified body is now bound to work with you, and you agree on accepting audits, and they must audit you now. Yeah. So from this moment, the real work starts. So as soon as the order is confirmed and the resources are booked, we can start auditing and schedule the first audit with you. Yeah. So this time from the first inquiry till project opening may take 1, 2, 3 months. It depends upon the season, because we also have, as you know, the Christmas season and the Easter season and the summer vacation season. So I mean, it's you have to take into account also these peculiarities of working patterns in different parts of Europe. Okay, so I mentioned many times the offer, the non-binding offer and binding offer. Basically is the quotation that the a manufacturer gets from SGS, and these are the elements that you will see there, the price elements, right? So the first one is the application review fee. So it is charged when the MDR agreement is signed. Yeah, so the application is of course free of charge. However, the notified body charges certain fee when they do the application review and sign the agreement. So then we have 4 other blocks of quotation, which is the initial certification, the surveillance audit in the second visit, a surveillance audit in the third visit, and the recertification. Yeah? So the initial certification is split into stage 1 audit, stage 2 audit, and corresponding preparatory tasks. Also in the initial certification, we will perform the technical documentation assessment, and also clinician will review the technical documentation, because there are two perspectives. One is the assessment from the technical point of view. The other one is assessment from the clinical point of view. So the kind of two different experts will review your documents. And as the certification is completed, as long as a certification is completed, the annual certification fee has to be paid every year. Yeah. So and if you can see throughout the stages, the offer elements are mostly same: surveillance audit, sampling of technical documentation in the surveillance audit, and again the certification fee. So that's what you will find in the quotation. Also, the unannounced audit is mentioned on the side of the quote because it's required to have it, but no one can say when it happens, right? So the unannounced audit is calculated based like on 1 day of work for 2 auditors. It is a small add-on to the whole picture. So this is about the structure of our quote. And then the next one is actually what is done when, in what activity we do what. Previously in the quote, I already mentioned many stages of work. So the most difficult one and the most demanding is, of course, the initial certification, which takes longer than other stages of the audit, of the of the whole cycle. And so we start with the audit of quality management system. We do it in 2 stages. Stage 1 is the preparatory stage, and stage 2 is the certification stage. If the company was not, sorry, if the company was certified by another certification body according to ISO 13485, we take over this certification and do the early recertification together with MDR. Then, after the audit of QMS, the technical documentation is reviewed by technical personnel and by clinical personnel. Certification review is when the audit reports are finalized, the non-conformities are closed out. The whole package goes to our notified body that is doing their own checks, absolutely not connected with our work. So there will be people who have no clue what we did. So it's kind of the 4 eyes principle that we keep in our work, and that is demanded by ISO 17021 for the notified body. And if the certification review is positive, the certificates are issued. So the customers get the ISO 13485 from us, and MDR a certificate, okay, EU Quality Management System certificate according to MDR requirements. Yeah. So in the next year, life is relatively more simpler. Yeah. So it is about the surveillance audit of quality management system, the surveillance of technical documentation, the updates, changes, etc. It is also quickly checked by clinician if necessary. It depends upon the product class. It depends upon the intended use of the product. Also depends upon the a history of the product on the market is also important. So then the third year is basically same as the second year. So the third visit is repeating surveillance. And in the fourth year, the quality management system will be recertified. Technical documentation continues its surveillance, or according to the risk class, it may be also re-reviewed again. Also, the certificates can be updated, reissued, replaced according to the particular needs of the customer. So this is the overview about the all items of the certification cycle. Now zooming into the visit workflow. So how the visit is ongoing. Basically, on the upper left side, you can see the activities, and on the lower right side, the deliverables. Yeah. So a deliverables is what you get as a customer, and the activities is what is undertaken by us together with the manufacturer. So for the first visit, the application review is done only in the beginning of the project, and then we continue with planning. As a result, we get the calendar bookings, the logistic details, etc. Then the audit takes place, the main thing, yeah. And the output of the audit is basically the list of non-conformities, which are followed up from both sides, and after they are closed out or put into proper state, so to speak, the audit reports are issued. So the customer gets the audit reports and assessment reports. And then we proceed with the review at notified body. The notified body may come back to the auditors or to the customer directly and ask certain questions to clarify the details, whatever. And if no questions or all questions are answered in a good way, the certification is recommended and the certificates are issued and sent to the customer. So this is the closest zoom into to the minimum element, the visit. And then let's again zoom out and see again the whole logic of certification process according to MDR. So it's a long way to the certification, the assessment phase. Yeah, so the application, then stage 1, stage 2 audits, reacting to the non-conformities, corrective action plans, then the certification review and certification. This will be the year 1, then year 2 and 3, which is just the surveillance, and year 4 is the recertification. Yeah? So that's how you can see it on the on the only picture, on the only slide, I mean. Yeah? So the technical documentation starts early in the stage 1 and continues to the moment when the corrective action from the stage 2 audit are implemented. Yeah, so both basically meet together, the quality part and the product part being assessed, and then the customer gets the non-conformities for the quality management system, the customer gets the non-conformities for the product, and when both are closed, then we are ready to go to the certification review phase. Yeah? So this is a very short story about quite difficult thing, and I just want to share some links. I think you will get the presentation after this event in PDF format. So this is the links to our SGS Germany homepage, where you will also find the services that SGS Germany provides apart from certification. We are a testing lab for product safety, for EMC, for other topics, for the software. So we are 150 people on our site in Munich, and of course we have a lot of a lot of services to offer to medical device manufacturers. My story was about the medical product certification according to MDR, but definitely SGS can offer you much more. Thank you very much, and I think it's a good time for your questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vasily. And we will use like the 20 minutes that we have in order to take the questions from the audience. And we already have some good questions from Roger, sorry, in the chat. So I don't know, Roger, if you want to ask a question and directly, I think it's the best way.
Yeah. The questions are from Danny, so I will let him ask them, and I have many others to come after.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Too many attackers, you are gonna get confused.
So, Roger, your question on the ISO 13485 certification.
No, this is my question. This is Danny, the brother of Roger.
Hello, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, you showed 10 steps, and you know, in our journey, we are gonna get the ISO certification first. Where would you place this ISO certification between your steps?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. Actually, the ISO 13485 certification is step number 3. So implement a QMS means write it, implement, and get it certified if you want. Yeah. So I recommend the early certification of your quality management system. As soon as you are ready with the procedures, as soon as you know how things will work, it's good to get used to the procedures of the certification body, because ISO 13485 is a good preparation for the MDR. So that's the ISO 13485 certification is are not mandatory, but it's good to have it. So it's not the recommendation from the audit. It's just the good practices for everyone. Yeah. So my answer is step 3.
Yes, thank you very much. And a practical question as well is, we struggle with electronically sign our documents. and some stuff we have been told is that for ISO, some e-sign tools can work but not work for MDR. Do you have an opinion on it?
Do I understand you right that certain parts of ISO processes might not be okay for MDR, or?
No. So to sign documents, to make them official,
Okay.
to sign them electronically, we can use, Acrobat Sign or Microsoft signature process. It seems Microsoft is okay for ISO certification, but not for the MDR certificate.
I think that the requirements for document control is what you are interested in, right? So the document control requirements in ISO 13485 is what we also gladly see in MDR actually. Yeah? So basically there are methods that are conform to ISO 13485, and then you define them as you're working procedures, and it will be, I don't think that there are special requirements from MDR for signing the documents. Probably we need to see the case and basically get involved into it during the audit. But generally speaking, I don't think that the way of signing by different platforms that are offered now that is acceptable. It's broadly acceptable usually. So the electronic signatures are very widely on the way in the world now, and also in medical device industry. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Ayana, your question, please.
And you are mute still.
And you're mute.
Yeah, so it's already me because I thought other people had. So thank you very much for the presentation. I have a lot of questions. I will start with one that I think may also be of the interest of others. What is your approach for companies that are fully remote? So we make medical device software. We don't exist in a physical location. I mean, I'm here in my apartment. My colleagues are each one in their places. How do you approach the plant, but also the unannounced audits in cases like this?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Yes, we audit companies that are small companies, that are startups, that consist of 1 or 2, 3 people that are basically the heart of the project. Yeah. Legally, you need to have an address registered, right? And this address will be also used for the post-market surveillance, for the complaints. Something shall be put on the label. Even for the software, there is a label. So basically in the menu, there is about section, and there you provide the information about your product. So the address that is written there is theoretically the address where the audit may take place. You can appoint any other place for the audit if it is within the if it is a consistent way of renting space somewhere in co-working or wherever else. But actually the address that is mentioned also must be visited. And we do have cases when we visit the private homes. Yes, because it's not forbidden to say that the private room is bad for being the address for the big device manufacturers. Everything is possible. I mean, for the software companies, the problem is the remote teams. Yeah? So how you keep the team consistency, how you perform the trainings, how you keep them all kind of online, or how you update them about the regulations is up to you. So you define the rules, and I see it quite flexible, because even MDR is very bureaucratic and very dry. Still, it does not go to the level of things that you must provide, like in terms of private property or whatever. So this is not that way. Yeah. So it is more product focused, but when it comes to the entity and how it is registered and where the team members are located, this is very free. I think it's very widely formulated. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vasily. So we have a question in the chat from Maxime that joined recently the Luxembourg Institute of Health. Maxime asks you, so there are different sizes of companies, but there are also different sizes of budgets. So what is the overall cost of getting like the CE certification, the global process? But I think that maybe the part that is the most interesting for you is about you, SGS. What about the budget, what we have to anticipate?
So the latest recommendation of MDCG was to publish the standard prices and fees. So all notified bodies are recommended to publish these fees. Not all did that. I think it's not a must, but SGS FIMCO did it, one of the first ones, I think, even before this recommendation was issued. So you can see in the links in the presentation, the basically the prices for the auditor's work. It is 339 euros per hour for the technical assessor and for the product assessor, and the auditor is also in this area. So we talk about like 300, 400 euros per hour, and then the calculation of time is done based on MD9 document. MD9 I will put in the chat, so you can see this IAF MD9. This is the almost the main thing. How we calculate the length of the audit, it depends upon the size of the company, and on top of that we do some add-ons for the assessment of the technical documentation and assessment of the special items of MDR quality management system, right? So you can estimate your how much your how many employees your company have and do some factor, so to speak. Yeah. Average project starts from 80,000 euro up to 200. So it depends upon the class of the product, upon the number of critical subcontractors that must be audited. So this is not just the estimate for the company or estimate for the product. It is very much different, and this amount is split in 4 years actually. So it's not that what you are going to pay at once. So it's a long journey, and actually what I see is a kind of it's good thing for the manufacturer that you can stop at any time if you see that it doesn't go further. I have to draw the consequences. It is also possible, so no one is actually getting to you afterwards. It's a pity that the project is being cancelled or put on hold, but I mean, for the manufacturers, I don't see any big risk apart from this thing that in the UDAMED database there will be probably a note that the audit was stopped or it was not certified because of certain things. Yeah, but still it has to go to this level, right? So the certification process must be finished within 12 months from we started auditing. It is important also for us because we can postpone things and say that we are busy, but the requirements are that we have to be ready within 1 year. So we are also bound to certain requirements in this.
Yes. That was clear. Question from the other Rasaker, so Roger Rasaker this time. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Vasily, thanks for the presentation. I have 2-3 questions which will go fast. First, in terms of we are developing the software as a medical device, and in terms of classification, depending on how you read it, we could easily be in 2A or 2B. And we kind of scratch our head. Sometimes it's 2A, sometimes it's 2B. It depends on how you answer the question. Then what we heard is being in 2B is not more complicated than being done in 2A. Is this correct? Do you confirm that point?
I would say that the conformity assessment routes that are available for class 2A and class 2B, well, for class 2A, you can go small step less than class 2B, but everyone is doing quality management system plus technical documentation assessment. So there will not be much difference in terms of the auditing, and also class 2B for the post-market surveillance. Depends upon the product, because I don't know what the product is, and I mean, it is not significantly different in general. In particular, if we talk about certain implants, etc., there might be deviations, yeah. But I think that class 2A or 2B in terms of a bureaucratic load is same. There are some technical differences, because I see from my perspective as assessor, as auditor, but I mean, the documentary load and the toughness is same. If you are not class 1, then you still have to deal with the notified body. So it's already a requirement. So
okay, and the second follow-up question, which is easy, is, you know, when you are a hard device manufacturer, it's easy. You create one and you put it on the market. In the software area, we need to deal with version improvements. Typically, a software can evolve and evolve and evolve, you know, improving it as we go. And the question that we are asking ourselves, should we wait like 5 years to have a software which is almost finished and apply, or should we apply early and then handle modification in a more agile way? What is your opinion? Is there's a good practice to go for?
I think that the world goes round also with the software, and many software is classified and certified, right? So as long as you do the significant changes, you notify your certification body that yes, I had changes this year, please take it into account. Then the certification body decides what they're going to do. They either say, okay, continue, we anyway come in 2 months for the surveillance, and then they will see what is the difference, and probably they may need additional evidence or validation or whatever, or they need to say no, it's now a new product even, yeah. So I mean, it is all evolving process, self-regulating. Yeah, so you certify the software version 1.0, then you come up with 2.0. Before issuing it, please involve your notified body, because it is all a people there, and it's people working with people, and that's what also we say. We don't have any numbers or robots here. It is all people talking and applying the very difficult volume of documentation from European Union to the technical creations. And it is not easy for you, it's not easy for us either. So the answer is, please read the MDCGs. It's the recommendations that are issued. I think one of the latest was about the versions of the software, that if you like upgrade and say the version is 1.01, then it's a minor issue. If it is 1.1, then it's a little bit more important. So they try to invent things to answer your questions, because everyone comes with that. Yeah. So I think that it's good to certify something and then upgrade it. It's definitely easier than waiting and losing the time. So just go for it. Yeah.
Good. I have 15 other questions, but I will not ask them now.
Yeah, please by email or with the you can always do it. No problem.
So maybe Peter, you can ask shortly a question. I have 2 other companies that have to ask their question before 3 minutes, so could be great to have a short one.
Thank you very much. We'll try to be very fast. Before I raise my questions, Vasily, just one brief comment on Roger's question, 2A or 2B. The main difference, I would say, is the risk management and risk assessment, because that's the reason why you want to go 2B instead of 2A for your software as a medical device, but we can discuss this separately. Vasily, my question is, you said at SGS routine in terms of ISO and MDR certificates, so quality management and product certificate. You say you need to apply for the ISO before you apply for the MDR certificate in order to let the audit procedure start. So that means you need to apply before. There is no need to certify it before. And in a later slide, you say yes, you parallel these processes. You issue the certificates at the same point at the timestamp, and then go ahead over the next 3 to 5 years in parallel audits or one audits covering all. My question is because. Usually this is done with current routine. You apply for the ISO, and at some point you say, okay, now we are ready to hand in the technical documentation. So as far as I have the experience, it's a parallel process at some point. Do you agree? Did I understand it right? Because this is important for startups to manage carefully this roadmap to certification.
Yes, I can tell you where was not clear in my presentation actually. So probably here was okay. Anyway, so thing is that when the company has no ISO, SGS FIMCO will not accept it for MDR. So you need to do ISO first. But when you have ISO from someone else and you do it for MDD purposes, you already have your good old friends visiting you every year, and you want to go for MDR with SGS FIMCO, we will take it over. So we will do the early recertification of your existing quality management system. But if it is a startup with zero experience, please come first for ISO, and we do ISO first. Of course, it's not 1 year for ISO, it's much more compact in terms of time. And after ISO is there, the company may apply to MDR.
Okay, but you say it's one step after the other. First ISO certificate, and then let's go for the MDR certificate. Or can it be, let's say,
for startups, unfortunately, ISO comes first, because we had many cases when the company starts everything, and then they just stop, they freeze, they don't move, they disappear. So it's not because of I mean, it's because of this experience, and we want to move away from it to unblock the resources, etc. So,
okay, but one final question on that. So
sorry, Peter, I will take the question from the two companies we have.
Okay,
sorry to interrupt. Ziad, go ahead. Please.
Okay, appreciate the nitty-gritty details. 2 questions, if I may. So the first one is, what, as far as medical devices, class 2A medical devices are concerned, what are the key differences between the MDD and the MDR, and how do that, impact us as a company? And the second, over and above, basically, can you shine some light or demystify the labeling and post-market surveillance when it comes to class 2A medical devices? Like, what are the steps that need to be undertaken to achieving that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, there are 2 big things that 2 big questions here. And it's more the question to your consultant, because the details how to achieve something is not the question to the certification company. So we are not allowed to provide any consultancy. The first part of your question was about what is the difference class 2A and class 2B in MDD and in MDR, right? So this is the...
No, it's the class 2A, but the difference between the MDD and the MDR.
So the main difference that the MDD has its own conformity assessment procedure. So the steps for MDD are just different from MDR, though from the if you really zoom out and you will see the same, the quality management system and technical file in MDD. And the same, we also have an MDR quality management system and technical documentation. Now they call it documentation. Yeah. Here we had audits and here we had audits, but so the devil hides in details actually. So if we compare all these assessment routes for MDD and MDR, we will see that risk management is differently evaluated and there is more evidence required. Like for the MDR, we require the first manufacturing reports, so the end of line reports. So when the device is manufactured and you do the final tests, you have to submit these records for MDR as part of your technical documentation. There are many things that are more detailed for MDR, but in general, it's I would say the load is mostly the same. So it's not big change, but there are changes in small things that may affect your product and your current production. This is the problem. So that's why the change from MDD to MDR may be hard, even the processes are basically very similar, I would say.
And the second part of the question yet was?
So the second part of the question was regarding any guidance or any information regarding the labeling and post-market surveillance when it comes to Class 2A medical devices.
So the post-market surveillance is fully explained in the MDR. It's the annex. Let me open my. It's my book. It's my book that I always keep with me. So the post-market surveillance is really depends upon the a class of the product and the details and the level of how much you have to prepare for the assessment depends upon the class. So the clinical evaluation and post-market clinical follow-up, for example, in the Annex 14, then you can also look at the clinical investigations in Annex 15. So this is all what we reviewed during the PMS. Yeah. So the requirements are set out in articles from 86 to 92 of MDR, and they refer to the relevant annexes. So if you go from 86 to 92, you will just see what is required for your class, and then you can jump to the attachments of the MDR where you find more details. So this is the post-market surveillance.
If the book is not in Finnish, happy to, if you can share the references. Ayana, your question. Always muted.
Sorry, is that I unraised the hand and in my brain is like I'm muting the microphone. So I already asked a question, so I hope it's okay that I ask again since it's already over time. So my questions is connected to also these cases where there are a lot of people out there doing new things and the interpretation are not always clear. As you mentioned, it's just people on both sides. Just try to understand how it fits. So can you give some ideas on examples of how does it work when maybe we have different understandings about, let's say, oh, I think this change is not significant, therefore it will not require to go through the notified body, or I think this is my classification, and maybe you have an understanding that I should have a different classification. So what happens then in cases like this?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Yes, it is not very often, but it happens that a manufacturer has a different view on that. So the official way is I also talk about it, yeah. But the usual way is reading the documents loud together and finding the truth. So basically, we rely on MDCGs, is the documents that are issued to support both sides, to support the notified body, to support the manufacturer, and they update these documents quite extensively in the recent days, and they issue new ones. And I think they are now heavier than actually the MDR. So for the significant changes, but this battle comes from MDD time. It is significant, it is not significant. What I call significant, what I call insignificant. Yeah? So there is also now MDCG for the significance and insignificance. So we follow this up. If we don't agree, the auditor does not agree with the customer, we go to our notified body experts, and they basically not involved in the audit. They far away from us. So we present the situation to them. If they have no clue how to solve this, because they are also hesitating, they go to the competent authority, to the FIMEA. FIMEA is the office that is basically controlling the notified body. It is the agency that is working on behalf of the government. Yeah? And if FIMEA has no clue, then there is a mechanism how to ask for the opinion from other competent authorities. But I think then we will all retire in this chat when that happens, because it's a really time-consuming procedure. Sorry for being sarcastic, but I mean, usually we get agree on the level of the notified body, and this happened just 2 weeks ago. The customer insisted on the classification. I was another opinion. I asked my colleagues, they were also in different directions. We came to the notified body and asked them. They said, okay, this is like this, and if it is not like this, we can decline the application officially because we could not agree, or we can ask our authority, and authority will give the final for this notified body, because all notified bodies, they are basically stuck in front of the doors of their country competent authority. So they basically represent their opinion at the end. Yeah. So it can happen that there are due to certain inconsistencies, one country can finally do something different than the other, but I mean, nowadays it's very much harmonized and aligned, and there is it's difficult to get different opinions from different authorities, at least. From the auditors, yes, because when the auditors discuss, they're always different. But I mean, in general, you will definitely find the truth, and if you really want to insist on certain classification, insist on certain thing, it is your right. The only thing that works against you is the time.
Yeah, I think this is going more or less on the direction of the idea that the MCGs are more and more becoming kind of a truth, while they're in principle non-binding. No, so if I believe I have a case, I say, no, look at MDR. In my particular case, this MCG does not fit. This will make it more difficult. I'm understanding.
MDCG is still recommendation. MDR is the main text. So that's why it depends upon what is helping you and what is not. If MDR is more on your side and MDCG is not, and you still want to make sure that your way is the right way, so then it's everything is possible. I mean, there are different levels of escalation. In my practice, it was only till competent authority. I never experienced any international discussions, and still it was also in MDD time. For MDR, up to now, till notified body, then that's it. So probably it is not yet that many cases that I had on my desk.
Okay, thank you.
Diana.
Yeah, so we are already 12 minutes late, and sorry for this, but I see that there are still a lot of people connected. So maybe I will allow myself to ask you a question, Vasily.
Yeah.
That is about adding your customers. So we have heard in the news that it's very difficult now to find a notified body that is available for new clients. What is your position on this? Do you have like some gossips to share? I don't know, but the problem is that as a new company with a new technology, sometimes it's really difficult to find a way to find a notified body and to go forward. What is your opinion on this?
Yes, we know the situation, and also the official statistics shows that the number of applications is very high, and the capacity of the notified bodies is still wishes a lot of good things to happen, and that's why the recent update of the regulation now allows to postpone the MDR certification for many customers till 2028, I think, 2028, I think, yes. So, and in this regard, we expanded our team in Munich, and we are offering the time slots. Basically, theoretically, it's possible even this year. And for that, we kindly invite everyone to apply. Our notified body and our team of medical certification, of medical product certification in Munich is quite compact. So probably we are not that huge as many others, but still we are the ones who work face to face with our customers. We don't have any barriers between. So we have less scope than the total general scope of the MDR. We work mostly with active medical devices, class 2A and class 2B, with software, of course, with sterile products and accessories a little bit. So we are more focused on electrical medical devices. And for that, if any of you is a good match for this, then you can definitely get a quite early certification slot with SGS FIMCO. As I mentioned, SGS is a group of companies. We also have another notified body in SGS in Belgium, which is much bigger, and they have bigger scope. This presentation focuses on the services that are provided by SGS FIMCO and SGS Germany as acting on behalf of them.
Okay, excellent. So before I will go and learn the Finnish or Swedish, I don't know, I want to thank you very much, Vasily. I see that there are at least 2 questions that I was not able to take, the one of Ricardo and the other one from Peter. Sorry for that, guys.
Please send me by email anytime. So I think
thank you so much.
that's all possible that you contact us. Sorry, Jean-Philippe, I interrupted you.
No, you're very welcome. So, of course, we will share the presentation and also the recording of the session of today. Just on my side, a short reminder. So we will have another webinar on October 26th to talk about what L-DIH, Luxembourg Institute of Health, is offering in terms of translational medicine, since they have this new hub that they have opened, I think, last year, the TMOH. So, and we will have another one on December 5. So happy to discuss then. Just for the agenda, we will have like a breakfast event on the morning of the 30 November, so 30, sorry for my French accent. So that will be at Belval in the morning. So it will be a B2B event where all the ecosystem will be together in order to have a coffee, share a croissant, not sharing the croissant, I don't know. But that's a good opportunity to discuss face to face. And that's it on my side. Thank you very much for having stayed so long to this very interesting conference. I'm sure that you had still plenty of questions. I think it's like listening, Vasily, okay, clarify some processes, but we still have like some plenty of details that we want to share, we want to discuss. And so happy to be part of it and to receive your questions and share them with Vasily. Do not hesitate, as you know, I'm doing the best. Sometimes not always, but that's life. Thank you very much again, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.